morning, everyone, to our April 21st meeting. As always, we appreciate each one being here this morning. If you would, just take a couple of seconds to put your telephone on silent, be appreciated. And as always, we'll open up in a word of prayer. Mr. Paul Bagley will open us up, followed by Will with saying the pledge. So if you would, let's all stand.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for giving us another day today. And thank you so much for the opportunity that we're here today to conduct the business of Madison County. And everything that we do and say today will be pleasing to your sight. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Will?
Yes, sir. Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Ronnie Lott.
Yes,
Chancellor
Mr.
Clerk.
President, you should have before you the April the 7th board minutes. I would ask if there are no changes for the board to please approve said minutes.
Are there any changes anyone would like to offer? If not, I'll make the motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are down to concerned citizens. Greg, I see we have Dr. Rosie Riley.
I do not see her in the building, though. I guess she couldn't make it today.
Okay, and next we have Patrick White. Patrick, if you would please come up and just state your name, give your address in 2 minutes, please.
Good morning. My name is Patrick White. My address is 633 West Fulton Street, Canton, Mississippi. I'm here about the damage to my car on Way Road, April the 4th, with the sinkhole and the crossroad covered. I was here 2 weeks ago. You asked me to bring a second estimate. I do have it.
Okay, Greg?
Yes, sir.
We look into that.
Cornelius, you got that? You got this second estimate?
Yes, I do.
You have it with you?
I have it with me.
Let me see. Let's see it.
Cornelius, you can come on up. Or Greg, either one that's going to be.
Cornelius is going to have more information on this one than I do.
Okay.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
The situation on that is that we got loggers over there, and they've been logging over there about a month and better. And so what happened, I got a call from a gentleman over there saying that the road was tore up real bad. But coming to find out, I did my paperwork, looked over everything. The damage was done to their car before the guy called me. So the road, we spent a half a day over there trying to repair that road because the log trucks really tore it up. So that was going on with that before we know about it. If we fix it within 24 hours, we'll be straight, but it won't within 24 hours.
Y'all did not get it repaired? Okay.
Mike,
Comments from the
are you
board?
familiar with our policy on that?
Could you go back over the facts? Are you saying that the car was torn up because of the loggers?
Well, the loggers,
Reported late, are we liable? I mean, what, I know it's a question for me, but what are the facts?
well, the deal is that by the loggers had to went over there, they've been hauling out there a month. So if someone called and tell us that we got a damaged road, if we go fix it within 24 hours, we won't be liable for
So
it.
did we do that?
No, cause.
Okay, that's it then. All right, so that's the answer.
And we did not do that because of what reason?
Well, cause when I got a call, and they've been hauling over there, so we've been checking on the road cause we put a cross drain in there for them. So we didn't have no problem with the cross drain. It was beyond the cross drain where they had, and just the log just didn't beat the road up and got all them knots and tore up in the road.
Okay, why did our insurance company deny the claim?
Insurance company denied it based on lack of advanced knowledge. In other words, from the insurance company's perspective, if we don't know about it, we cannot be held responsible to fix it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Other thoughts on the board?
I don't know. Do we have all the facts here? But the facts that I know of right now is telling us that we're liable. I don't know if there's something else in our policy. I don't know if something else in our policy besides that one section,
Well, I guess
what
we'll,
we're talking about.
we'll look at the policy, so to make sure. But based on what we heard 2 weeks ago and what we just heard this morning from the road manager is, the roads are our responsibility to keep the roads up in a safe condition. So if there's potholes that are large enough to cause the damage that allegedly happened based on an invoice, then we're responsible for that. But because the damage was caused by a log truck,
Yeah.
that's another issue.
I don't wanna leave them out of
Right,
this.
it's exactly, so we're supposed to have a bond, we have a bond program, but they put up a bond to cover the damage that we have to pay. So I don't know if that's happened. I think they should be called upon to reimburse us for what it costs to repair this gentleman's car. So I think we're liable for this. I believe if the estimates are reasonable, he's got two of them, then I think we should take the lowest one and fix this gentleman's car. But as far as what it costs us to fix the road, I think the loggers are responsible for that.
Yeah, and I don't think we got a bond on that portion of the road. Reason why that road was due to be resurfaced this past summer. And we knew loggers were coming in there. We didn't want to surface a road and the loggers coming right in and tear it back up.
Right. Mike, I thought last board meeting we was gonna look into this and, with the loggers, because I still believe that we need to understand what the loggers part, what the insurance part is, and what our part, before there's a good decision that can be made. So I thought last board meeting, we asked y'all to look into it with the loggers as well, but.
Well, I think it was Cornelius and Greg that supposed to have been
Looking into it, okay. Mike, maybe Supervisor Griffin, maybe, for them to bring us some more information back at the next board meeting.
Yeah, and I hate to keep putting this off,
Right.
but, Mr. White, I hope you ain't missing work.
Yes, I am taking out work.
You're talking about for the day,
Yes, for today.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to make a motion that we put it off another week. To the next meeting, because I want us to get this right. And I want us to be within our total policy, not just a couple portions that we are going by memory.
Then add me to the group that's responsible for selling this because I wasn't added last time.
Yeah, that would be my motion, to put it off to next meeting and allow Mike and Cornelius and Greg to get back together and look at the total policy.
All right, got a motion on the table, I'll second, discussion.
And I will bring this back with you,
Okay.
Mr. White.
Or he could leave a copy of that today.
Yeah, if you leave it, if you can you get a copy to Greg?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed. Thank you, Mr. White. All right, our next, schedule. The next schedule, matters of business is, item 4. We have, Alan McDaniel and Treasurer Tyson here. If y'all would come up to the mic and, have some good news that, y'all have come and helped Madison.
Yeah, I always enjoy coming with good news, because sometimes
That's right.
that's not the case. First off, my name is Alan McDaniel. I'm the Chief of Staff for the Mississippi Department of Public Safety. Commissioner Tyndall would have been here today, but he's actually out of the country. And so I know in the position that I'm in and that he's in, lots of times we're the ones that are out front and get to share all the good news and share the different events and everything. But in the time that I've been, I was practicing law and in the positions that I've held, I know lots of times it's better to bring the person with the expertise. And so with that, if I could, I'm going to turn it over to Treasurer Tyson. She is the director of our Driver Service Bureau as well as our Identity Management Bureau, and she has more of the details on that. And then if afterwards, if there's anything y'all would like, I'd be happy to come back and answer any questions, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. I think you may have oversold me with expertise.
Good.
But thanks for having us this morning. We are pretty excited about where we're headed with driver services and identity management for the state. We have a new station open in Canton. It is at 152 Watford Parkway. We had a grand opening April 1st, and we have 4 workstations there. We hope to be completely full service there soon. We have a space behind the building that eventually we will put a commercial driver's skills testing lot in. We're not quite there with the funding on that, but we have a great space for that. And we will be fully operational. We're fully operational, but we do not offer the skills testing or the testing for permits yet. Again, we're waiting on some equipment to come in to finish that up. But in addition, all the back office of driver services are in Canton at 152 Watford. And we have a new mobile station that we put on the road. We tested out last week. It is a mobile van and fully functioning, two stations in it. And there's nothing other than skills testing that we won't be able to do in that van. We tested out last week in headquarters. And that van will be on the road, hopefully starting this week, to underserved areas, schools, nursing homes, and other areas. And if people want to request that, we'll absolutely entertain that. But if I can answer any questions for you or talk to you about anything else, I'm happy to do that.
Well, we appreciate you coming because we are excited about the opening of the driving station. And when you said full service, do you mind going over exactly what full service is once we get there?
Right. It's at some point, sooner than later, I hope, we will be able to offer permit testing if you want to come in and take your driver's permit, or you haven't had a license before, or you want to take your CDL, commercial driver's license testing. And then the full service will also encompass the skills testing. If you get a commercial driver's license, you'll have to take a skills test, a driving test, and we have to have a certain size lot, and it has to follow the regulations and the direction for the federal government for Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act. And so we follow those rules, and then we would have examiners there to test people on their skills testing for the driver's permits for the commercial licensing. Currently, we do driver's license renewals, identifications. If you need to come in and get an ID, I would encourage everyone to go ahead and get your real ID if you need to travel or needed to be in a federal building. Mississippi is fortunate. We've had, we're about 97% of our identifications or our credentials issued are real ID compliant. And so if you're coming in, I would recommend bringing in your birth certificate and your social security card and 2 proofs of domicile so we can go ahead and make sure you do have a real ID credential.
Okay, and that is the little yellow star on the right.
It's that little gold star on the
Gold
top
star.
right-hand card. Well, yellow, gold, yes, sir. It's in the top right-hand corner of your driver's license or your ID.
Okay, if you do not have that little gold star, as you said, you will not be able to fly then.
May 7th,
From an
yes, sir.
airplane.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good deal. Other questions from the board?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to thank all of y'all for coming to Canton. This has been a long process for us trying to get a driver license station back in Canton. That was 1 year ago, and it left because there is a lot of senior citizens in our area and area I represent in the rural area. I usually go to we're over in Leake County, and when I go over there, I might have lunches, go around and look at another store, and I hate leaving my tax dollars in Leake County when I can come here and get my driver's license, renew, to have lunch here in the county that I represent. And I'm sorry I didn't make the grand opening because most of the board members was out of town on business that day. So welcome to Canton. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. We're excited to be here, and the driver's services, all the back office operations are in that same building as well. Tickets or anything else, any records that go on your licensing and any of the reinstatements all happens in the back office of Canton. So we have a pretty good staff here in Canton.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other statements from the board members? If not, Alan, do you want to say anything, or?
No, I just want to thank y'all again for allowing us to come here, and we look forward to a continued relationship.
Well, I know this is a commitment that Governor Tate Reeves made 3 or 4 years ago, and we definitely appreciate Commissioner Tindall and y'all bringing it to Canton. But as Supervisor Griffin said, this has been in the works for 3 or 4 years or longer.
Right, and to emphasize something that that Ms. Tyson had talked about with the commercial testing, you know, that's a big deal, obviously, with all the industries that's coming in here. We have the space for the lot behind the building, and the assistance we could get in getting that, because there's very, very few of those commercial testing lots here in the state. I believe the nearest one to here is in Pearl, is that correct? Is in Pearl, so we would love to be able to get that, and that would kind of close the entire cycle. I mean, as it stands right now, Canton is the hub for driver services and identity management here in Mississippi, and to be able to do that with all the industry we have here, it'd be a great place to be able to come in here and have like a one-stop shop, so to speak, on that.
All right.
But we appreciate it.
Alan, one question I do want to clear up.
Sure.
There's a lot of times we get questions asked, when someone get their license at the very beginning of their age, whether it's 15 or 16, 17,
Right.
do they take a driving test?
They previously did, and Treasurer, you tell me if there's something here, but they previously did. During COVID, they did suspend that, and I don't believe that they have come back and done anything on that. So is that correct?
It is correct, but I would tell you that Commissioner Tindall's been very interested in working toward requiring driver's ed for all students, and anyone who's never had a license before. There's a new statute, I say new, it's about a year old, but Department of Public Safety has been working hand in hand with Department of Education to have a driver's ed curriculum, and every secondary school in the state will be required to offer that curriculum. And beginning in July of 2027, anyone, no matter how old, if they have never had a license in Mississippi or never had a driver's license before, will be required to have a driver's ed certificate before getting a license. And part of that driver's ed curriculum includes driving with the instructor. And along with interaction with law enforcement and distracted driving, there are several components of the driver's ed curriculum. But we have a new manual out, it's available on the website as well. But a lot of that will be, right now they have to have an affidavit requiring that they've been driving with someone for 50 hours before they come in and test and do before they get their regular license. But the driver's ed curriculum will cure the driving with an instructor.
Okay. Good information.
Yeah.
Thank you, Al.
Does that answer what you needed?
That's it.
All right. Anybody else? All right.
Alan, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much for allowing us to come.
Next on the list is the Business League Foundation with Law Enforcement Appreciation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jan Collins, Executive Director of the Madison County Business League and Foundation, and I want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak to you today. This is the 12th year that the Economic Development Support Organizations and Chambers of Commerce in Madison County have collaborated to celebrate and commemorate the outstanding work of the municipal and county law enforcement officers and first responders in Madison County. We are inviting our business community, schools, churches, organizations, and individuals to recognize our law enforcement officers for their dedication and commitment to the protection of the citizens of Madison County, recognizing the importance of safe communities and its impact on economic development and quality of life. We request the board's consideration of a resolution proclaiming May 11th through 17th, 2025 as Madison County's Law Enforcement Appreciation Week. And I also want to mention to you that the Business League will be sponsoring a lunch for Sheriff Tucker and his deputies on May 14th, Wednesday, May 14th at noon at the Sheriff's Department, and I'd like to make sure that our county and Board of Supervisors are included in that. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks, do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Brandon, discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, Jan, we appreciate it because I know you handle this every year for us, and we appreciate it very much so.
Well, we appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Jan.
Item 6, Greg, who's going to
Sure.
discuss Bridges, Goodman,
All right.
Blair, Clark audit discussion?
Yes, it's the audit discussion. This board asked a few weeks ago if the auditor would be available to present the 23 audit, or at least kind of walk you through the high points. So I spoke to the audit firm, Bridgers, Baird, Goodman, and Clark, and they sent Simpson Goodman and Brandy Conoco. Okay, I didn't want to butcher that last name. And so they are here to answer any questions you may have about the FY23 audit.
Okay, if you would, please step up to the mic and just state your name again. And
Absolutely. I'm Brandy Conoco. I'm the audit manager at Bridgers, Goodman, Baird, and Clark.
I'm Simpson Goodman, our compliance audit manager.
Okay. Would you like me to present or just ask questions?
present,
All right.
just maybe 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
Sure, absolutely. The most important part of this audit report is going to be on page 78, and that's the summary of the opinions. There are several different types of opinions. An unmodified or unqualified opinion mean that everything's presented fairly and in compliance with audit standards. You have an unmodified opinion with regard to most of the fund statements. You do have a qualified opinion with regard to the general fund statements, which means that they're considered to be presented fairly outside of certain specific issues, which we've identified as being tax collector cash. So you've also got a qualified opinion with regard to governmental activities, and that's a different presentation of financial statements, but it does encompass all of the funds and therefore encompasses the tax collector cash also. You have an adverse opinion as with regard to the component units, and that's because they're not presented in the audit report, and that's for the reason that it's just not fiscally wise at this time to spend the money to audit those things. It doesn't affect the governmental statements though, other than the fact that they're just not included. The financial statement findings are found on page 79, and that lists material weaknesses, which are things that we expect would cause material misstatements from the financial statements, and that's what led to your qualified opinion. There's a couple of, or one significant deficiency as well, which is an issue, but it's a little bit lower than material weakness. So those are the most important things about the audit report. As far as the numbers go, we can start back at the beginning.
Do y'all have a copy?
Do not have one in front of me, but I can get one real quick.
Yeah, because we did not have a copy of it.
Grab a couple then.
But anyway, go ahead, Brandon.
Absolutely.
Continue.
So the statement of net position is on page 7 when y'all get it, and this statement shows your governmental activity. So this is all of the funds on an accrual basis. So your cash is $112 million. Your total assets are $324 million. A little less than half of this is related to capital assets. You have deferred outflows of resources, which are things that you expect to pay in the future. These are related to pension, refunding bonds, and post-employment benefits. Then you've got your liabilities, which are long-term debts, pension liabilities, that sort of thing. Some of these things you don't necessarily see on your books because they're accrued in. Things like pension liability are based on an actuarial valuation, and so we calculate that out for you. So this is the governmental statement, not the fund statement. Deferred inflows of resources are things that you expect to receive in the future, and then your total net position is $93 million. So if you don't have it in front of you, but your unrestricted net position is a negative $41 million. Most of this is due to the accruals. So for example, your net pension liability is $73 million. This is something that can fluctuate based on the stock market movement. So that's been in flux pretty much since COVID. So this number can fluctuate year over year by a pretty solid amount. But if you pulled that number out, then your net position would be positive. So you can't ignore it, but it is something that is very fluid. Page 8 shows your statement of activities, and this basically shows your expenses are $97 million. $10 million of that is pension expense, which is related to that actuarial valuation. Your total change in net position is $15 million, which is a positive number. You had more revenue than expense this year. There is a small prior period adjustment of $53,000. This is related to a capital asset correction, which is construction in progress that was projects that you started and then chose to not complete. So you may have had engineering or something that was capitalized on the front end and then ended up not moving forward with it. Page 9 is where your governmental fund balance sheet starts, and this is the stuff that will look more like what you see when you're presented with financial statements on a monthly basis, because these are your fund balance statements. So these include cash, investments, things like that. These statements do not include long-term debt, do not include capital assets, do not include pension. So this is probably more like what you're used to seeing. We do some accruals in there, but overall, your balance sheet looks good. Your general fund unassigned balance, which means money that you can use for anything, is $32 million. Positive number, so you've got funds to spend. Your liabilities are $5 million, $5.9 million, whereas your assets are $66 million. Again, does not include debt on these statements, but either way, you're in a good financial position with more assets than debt and liability. You've got 4 major funds: general fund, then you've got your debt service fund, you've got your American Rescue Fund, and in this American Rescue Fund, you've got unearned revenue of $18 million. So grant funds are not earned until you spend them for the appropriate expenditures. So for that, you can expect for your income to increase in the future as you use them. Of course, they'll be offset by those expenses. Then you've got your $12 million Reunion Bozeman HB 603 fund. So I'll put any questions thus far that since you've got something in front of you now?
Are these numbers that you're giving out to us, are these fiscal year 23 or current?
23.
Okay, so this was all a year.
This is
ago.
right, correct. So I'm on page 11 of the audit, and that's the statement of, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And this basically takes each fund and shows the income versus revenue on each fund. So overall, within all of the governmental funds, you have $15,228,746 as your income. So your revenues did exceed your expenses in all of those funds.
I'm sorry.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
The statement of fiduciary net position, this is something that doesn't necessarily affect you directly, but the bulk of this is tax collections due to homes. Generally, fiduciary accounts are assets held for others, so they're things that you'll see come in and out, but they don't necessarily affect you, they just have to be reported. So that's the end of the financial statements. We've got notes throughout. You've got a capital asset note that lists all the movement throughout the year. You've got your pension note on page 35. I know you don't have the full report, but that lists all the actuarial calculations if you're interested in pursuing those. Subsequent events are on page 42, and that shows what a user might need to see in order to make a wise decision about whether you need more debt. Since we're in, this is 23 numbers, that shows kind of what has happened since then. So if you were to get debt right now, they would be able to see the 23 numbers, plus that you got a GO note in 2023, 12/21/23, and that sort of thing. So those, the subsequent events are important things that have happened that may affect a user's opinion. So we've also got budget comparison schedules in here. For the general fund, which is the most important, your income exceeded what you expected to receive, and your expenses significantly were below what you expected to spend. A lot of that's because you always budget to do these projects, and then some of them work, some of them don't, or the timing is off. So that's pretty common. And then page 70 gets to the findings, and I'll defer to Simpson since he's the head of compliance. Unless you have more financial statement questions.
No, I think we're waiting on Simpson.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll briefly walk you through some of the findings, again, beginning with page 70. These are what's known as limited internal control findings. So these would be things that are considered minor in that they don't necessarily affect, pardon me, they don't necessarily affect the presentation of the financial statements. The first one, this is a repeat finding. There's a statute out there that requires the supervisors to ride and inspect the roads and bridges of the county each year, and it has to be either certified on the minutes, or an affidavit can be filed with the clerk related to those.
And because we received the 22 audit, which had a similar finding, this finding was fixed in 24.
Right.
Y'all did that in December.
All right, good. So then that one will go away for the next audit. Next one deals with the surety bonds that are required for elected officials and certain other officials in the government. Again, this is a repeat finding, but my understanding from Greg is that y'all have implemented something on your website, correct, to address this?
Yes, as part of our onboarding process now, it is automated essentially. So when somebody goes and fills out the form to hire someone, it automatically pings Gina to let her know that this person is being hired, and then she can decide, depending on the office, whether or not a bond is necessary. But it's an automated process now instead of relying on voluntary communication between departments, which sometimes is not effective.
It can be difficult in a county this size. Moving beyond that, this next question relates to the county's chosen depository. The county named Renaissance, Origin Bank, and Trustmark National as the official depositories for all county funds, but there are still a number of accounts that are being held at Bank Plus. I believe that's something that y'all work to address the depository.
Actually, yes. We took bids for depositories back in January, and I believe all of the accounts that were at these unofficial depositories are now at official depositories. Further, most of them, if not all of them, were below the $250,000 FDIC insurance threshold. The reason why we need things in county depositories is because those funds are collateralized with state treasurer. So the bank has to say, we're gonna put up X dollars worth of securities to ensure the county doesn't lose people's money. If they're under 250, the FDIC already does that.
Okay.
All right. Moving beyond that, the planning and zoning account, this one has been a little bit of debate between the administrator's office and us. It's not being reconciled as per what we are used to seeing. My understanding is that basically a sweep is done each month to move that into the county's general depository account. But of course, us auditors, we want to see every single thing reconciled and tied out to the T. We had one note on the land redemption accounts in the Chancery Clerk's office where we had identified an unidentified overage. This is also something that typically happens when one is in office for multiple terms. I know that there are several accounts that have some history there where certain funds have built up over time, whether folks didn't cash checks. There could be any number of explanations related to that. We just like to be able to see, because of the nature of that account being a clearing account, every penny that comes in is due right back out to somebody else, so typically everything should be accounted for. We had another finding related to the tax collector's office. This is related to the settlements, i.e. the checks or wires that they send to the various entities for which they collect. In fiscal 23, we had 4 of the 12 months were not settled timely. The statute sets that as by the 20th of each month. Following the close of the month, those wires need to be made. Also related to the tax collector's office, we noted some issues related to the accounting in that office. I'll kind of briefly hit the high points here. We conduct a cash count each time that we come. We do this for various accounts. Again, those that are clearing accounts, things coming in, everything should be going right back out, so it should be able to be tied out. And so as of October 31st, 2024, we noted the following issues. The collector's office was not utilizing a general ledger or a cash journal to record everything coming in and everything going out. Of course, without that critical piece, the bank reconciliations were also not being properly performed. They were performing what's kind of known as a bank-to-bank reconciliation, make sure that all the deposits that they know were deposited cleared the bank, any checks written were cleared, but the ultimate tieback is that needs to connect back to a set of books. Unfortunately, those books were not there at the time, and so they were not able to tie back to anything, which is in essence the meat of the next point. And then lastly, due to some issues related to some of the records, we were not able to determine that there were sufficient cash in the account to settle all outstanding liabilities. The collector's office has worked to try to address some of these, and I do know with some communication post-audit that they have actively been working to try to address some of these matters. Another instance that was noted, now this is not neither of those are repeat findings. This next one has to do with the presentation of the insolvent and delinquency list. At the close of the fiscal year, the tax collector is required to present a report to the board of anyone who is insolvent or delinquent related to taxes. And then basically it's kind of the passing of the torch. They say they've exhausted everything that their office can do, and they pass the buck to the board. In the circuit clerk's office, we had a minor issue related to the timeliness of certain deposits. The statute states that anyone who collects money that would be payable into the depository has 1 business day to get those funds to the bank. And so we did identify some issues there and discuss that with the circuit clerk, and my understanding is they've made some adjustments to their procedures to take care of that. And that, of course, is the close of your limited findings. As Brandy began or discussed towards the beginning, there were a couple of financial statement findings, and those are what resulted in the qualified opinions on certain funds for the county. Finding number 2023-001 is also a repeat finding, and this relates to the fact that at that time, the tax collector's office was not properly maintaining a set of books, and they also were not properly reconciling the accounts. The main operating account, which holds the bulk of the money, was not tied back to their cash journal. They were maintaining a cash journal, but the reconciliation did not tie back to it properly. There was no reconciliation being performed of what's known as the internet account and the NSF check account. Again, at that time, they were using a largely manual system of accounting. It was basically a spreadsheet, which there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but of course, when you're using something that's manual and it's not automated, then it increases the likelihood for human error. And then again, due to certain issues and limitations with the documentation that they provided us, we were not able to tie out the various amounts that they represented to us, and so it drew into question some issues related to the settlements, which I believe this board is aware of and has addressed in the past. Again, she discussed the fact that component units for the county are not being audited. Those audited numbers would typically be included in the financial statements for the general government or for the primary government. And again, it was discussed it's not economically feasible. Y'all have a large number of component units.
We have somewhere in the vicinity of 15 component units. That is every fire district, library board, nursing home board. Every board that you guys appoint somebody to is a component unit of the county. Now, for us to include component units, we would I would argue more than triple our audit fees and our financial statement preparation fees. It is not necessary or feasible to include audits of 15 component units, and that is statewide. That's not exclusive to Madison County. I would argue that most, if not all, counties have the same findings.
Greg, those agencies or boards, they have audits themselves, correct?
Frequently, yes.
And so, do we get those turned into us yearly, once they are audited?
Most we do, yes. Citizen services, the nursing home, et cetera, et
And
cetera.
that's fine. We just want to make sure
Yes.
that when they do their audit, yearly audit, that it's turned into us where it can be presented to us and where we can look at it.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
And as Greg mentioned, this is actually quite a common finding. There are a number of counties that made the same decision, that it's just not economically feasible for the county. Beyond the material weakness, as she mentioned, a significant deficiency still represents something that could result in an issue with the financial statements, but it would be considered to a lesser degree. And this is, again, a repeat finding. During the course of our testing, we had a number of issues tying out the amounts that the collector's office showed that they collected each day with what was actually going to the bank. Upon further inquiry, it was understood, I also believe based on the results of the forensic audit, that certain items were being held for indefinite periods, and then there would be a bulk deposit made at different times. Again, it is my understanding that that practice has been changed, but of course it made it to where we were not able to tie out daily collections to what was going to the bank. And that brings us to the close of our findings.
Okay.
Do you have any?
I'm sorry, thank you for that, Greg, and I'm just gonna go back over some of the things that they mentioned. Planning and zoning board, if you will, look into that and just bring back to the board, next board meeting on how we could resolve that issue.
Well, sir,
if there's an issue there.
I think we can probably address this one now.
Okay.
And Mr. Goodman referenced it. We have a slight difference of opinion on this one. That account is zeroed out every month. Everything that planning and zoning takes in goes into our general fund. They put it in their account and then we sweep it into the general fund, so we would be reconciling to zero. I don't necessarily think that is something we should be spending tons of time doing. I understand Mr. Goodman's concern, but 0 is 0. As long as it's swept every month, I don't think there's gonna be many issues there.
I do have a comment to add, and I think what we're really looking for is that you're connecting what you pulled in to what hits the bank. So it's less about the 0 at the end, and it's more about making sure that each transaction matches what you say that you collected. So that, to make sure that the amount swept is the correct amount is really where the reconciliation would help in this situation. So that's, that's where we're coming from.
Fair enough, we'll continue to look at it.
That's right, Greg, let's make sure that that's in order.
Sure.
Okay. Also, and I'm gonna ask at this point, he mentioned, the chancery clerk, tax collector, circuit clerk, mentions those three agencies as far as, needed, a little checkup and a couple of things that need to be done, especially the tax collector. And of course, this is audit of 2023.
Correct.
The cash count, though, was done in 2024. So
Okay.
some of the limited findings that he discussed were related to the new tax collector's office and the things
Correct.
that they're doing.
And that's, I mean, we just went through this in 2020, 2021. And that's very serious for us to make sure that that is done. So if you would, maybe those three agencies will come back next board meeting and explain, the correction with the audit that we just heard. How did they correct it, or how are they going to correct it if it's not already corrected?
Sure.
So if you would, just look at those three agencies and just ask them to come to the board at the next board meeting and give us that update or correction.
Yes, sir.
Other thoughts from the board?
Yes, I know they kind of separate entity, but you mentioned that upon a new hire, that it was, Ping Gina saying that, whether they need to be bonded or not. Okay, what about new appointments that the board put in?
Yes.
Like, for the fire departments and different things like that?
Yes, sir. If they are required to be in our payroll system, there's a form that has to be filled out to get them in that payroll system. It is that form that pings Gina, Dwayne, myself, and Loretta.
So in other words, volunteer board members on the fire department will not ping Gina then?
It will not, but they are in the minutes, so I don't believe there was any instances of board members being not bonded. The instances referenced here were employees of other elected officials.
Okay.
So I believe the system we have in place will work for board members. It was the employee portion that we needed to kind of innovate, and we were able to do that. And also, the other thing this does is it actually saves us money, because when someone is terminated or retired, fill out the same form, and then we were able to cancel that bond, which gives us a credit towards our next bond. We've saved a few $1,000 this year.
Other thoughts, comments from the board? If not, we appreciate the update. Thank y'all for coming and sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, next, item 7, resolution. Who's gonna present the resolution?
Ms. White.
Hassan? Hassan, you coming? The life of Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields. Hassan?
Resolution commending the life of Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields for his courage and professionalism as a law enforcement officer. Whereas on February 23rd, 2025, at the early age of 37, Hines County Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields lost his life in the call of duty while responding to a domestic incident in Terry, Mississippi. And whereas Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields was a dedicated and experienced law enforcement officer, having responsibly served as an officer in multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Jackson Police Department, the Ridgeland Police Department at Jackson State University, the Mississippi Department of Corrections, and at his final place of service, the Hines County Sheriff's Office. And whereas Deputy Shields received numerous awards and commendations for his selfless service, including receipt of the I Am City of Jackson Award for his courageous action in saving the life of a person in the throes of a drug addiction. And whereas Born on July 14, 1987, Deputy Shields attended Lanier High School, Hinds County Community School, and graduated from the Mississippi Law Enforcement Training Academy. And whereas at his untimely death, Deputy Sergeant Shields resided in Madison County at Yandell Farms in Canton, Mississippi, where he was a loving husband to Kristen Shields and a dedicated father to daughter Aubrey Shields. And whereas as Deputy Shields throughout his professional life demonstrated a true and unwavering commitment to public service and a passion for protecting vulnerable victims of crime, the Madison County Board of Supervisors wishes to honor and commend him for a life well served. Therefore, be it resolved that the Madison County Board of Supervisors does hereby commend Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields for his life of exemplary service as a law enforcement officer, and his offers its condolences to his wife and family on his untimely death, met courageously in the call of duty in Terry, Mississippi on Sunday, February 23, 2025. Further, be it resolved that this resolution, after approval of the board and signature of the President of the Madison County Board of Supervisors, be presented to the family of Deputy Sergeant Martin Shields as a suitable memento of the respect, affection, and esteem to which he is held by the citizens, the elected officials, law enforcement officers, his neighbors, and all of those who reside and work in Madison County, Mississippi. Approved this day of April 21st, 2025, by unanimous vote of the Madison County Board of Supervisors upon motion made by Supervisor Paul Griffin and second by Supervisor Carl Banks. Madison County Board of Supervisors, Gerald Steen, President.
I make that motion.
Got a motion, got a second? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Sheriff Tucker, do you want to say anything, or you just standing?
Standing out of respect.
Thank you, very much so. Thank
I
you, Ms.
just want to say, yes. Ms. Shields, she's here? Yes, she is. All right. I was, if you don't mind, would like to take a picture with you, because I didn't know that Deputy Shields lived in Madison County in my district until later on a neighbor called and told me that he lives in Yandell Farm. And as being a past law enforcement person myself, I know and can only put out my love and my heart to you and your family. Go ahead, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to thank you, first of all, Mr. Griffin, for allowing us this moment, because he truly deserved it.
Yes.
I remember that particular situation like it was yesterday, and he literally came home and was like, he just kind of brushed it off. He didn't really like recognition, but it's so amazing. It's such a blessing to see that here he is and all this, getting all this recognition for moments like this and so many other moments where he selflessly helped people.
Yeah.
He'd always say, I'm doing the Lord's work, and he surely fulfilled his purpose. So I thank you guys so much. Detrice, I thank you so much. That's our realtor back there. I know we got on your nerves, girl, buying a house, but I thank you so much for just presenting this to us. It's a blessing and an honor. Like, we all thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. And being in law enforcement is kind of like being a pastor. It's a calling. If you're not called, you won't stay in it long, because it's a straight out service to your fellow man.
Michelle, our heart and our love goes, go out to your family. Thank you. Consent items. Any items that the board would like to remove on the consent items? If not, do I have a motion for approval?
Got that motion?
Motion Supervisor Griffin, I'll second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item 48 is the appointment of field District 3 Justice Court vacancy. This vacancy's been here about a month and a half, and it's time to fill, and so I'll make a motion for Colleen Wise to fill that motion. Do I have a second? To fill that position. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Ms. Wise, or Judge Wise, as I can say now, would you like to come up and just say a couple of things?
Hi, thank y'all. My name is Colleen Wise. My husband and I live here. This is our forever home. And I'm honored to be able to serve this county that I call home.
Good
So
deal.
thank you.
We know you're very active in the Gluckstadt community,
Yes.
city, and
Yes.
we think you'll do very well in this position. Thank you for volunteering, allowing yourself to be a judge, and so we look forward to for you being judge in Madison County, District 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, we're gonna move on to Tim Bryant. Tim got a lot on the agenda today.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be short. First item I have is a request to add Mount Leopard Road to the 2025 Madison County Road Plan.
Okay, I see we have two board members and another one coming back, so I'm gonna go ahead and make that motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
All right, next several items I have are our quarterly updates for our engineering projects that we have ongoing at the moment. So the first of those will be our update for Calhoun Station Parkway. That will be Stantec giving that update.
Stantec, okay.
Morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
Thank y'all for having us here this morning. My name is Brad Ingles. I'm with Stantec Consultant Services, and we are working on the Calhoun Station Parkway project. It's from Stout Road to Highway 22. To date, we have finished our topographic survey, the geotechnical report, as well as the conceptual design, and we have started developing the final plan phase. We've provided a revised construction schedule as well. We had the end date towards the middle of next year. We've moved that up to try to get these out the door towards the end of the second quarter of this year. Again, we don't see any utility right-of-way issues come into play. Only holdup we could foresee is maybe permitting process taking a little longer than sometimes it does. But that's all I have. You have any questions?
What is what progress have you actually made from
We
last
finished-
quarter to this quarter?
We finished out the geotechnical report and finished the conceptual design layout, where we went through a few different concepts, and then we've started the final plans.
And say you on target, on date then?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we
Moved it up
basically
a little.
revised it, moved it up to towards the end of September, July this year versus May of next year. So we're trying to get it knocked out, get something going for y'all.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Banks, any questions?
I don't have any
Supervisor
questions.
Brandon?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank
you,
y'all.
Brad.
Have a good day.
Okay.
All right. Next project is Stribling Road from 463 to DeWeese. This project is being handled by Garver. Shannon?
Good morning.
Good morning, Shannon.
Shannon Wells with Garver, bringing update number 2 for Stribling Road from 463 to DeWeese. For the sake of time, I'll hit the highlights of the written update in front of you, starting with the traffic analysis. We finished our traffic model for a continuous 5-lane section from beginning to end and had a few observations, one being that improvements are needed at the intersection of Camden Crossing, either in the form of a traffic signal or a roundabout. That's about as far as we've gone. At that point, we the model supports that some improvements are needed there. Back to the main line, the 5-lane section, as you would hope, would alleviate the issues that we all are experiencing in the morning and the evening rush hour traffic going east, and the morning rush hour traffic going west, mainly from people parents taking their kids to Mansdale School. We did notice that there are some queuing at the end of the west end of the project, because you do have a T intersection. That would be expected. And also the volumes that were projected do not accrue at the same rate on that end of the job, because the subdivisions are smaller and there's a little more undeveloped land as the Lake Caroline entrance. So we thought it would be a good use of time to investigate, okay, what if we substituted a 3-lane section only on the west end? So for a 5-lane section from Deweese to McMillan, transitioning down to a 3-lane section onto 463, we found in the morning peak hours, really the difference, there's still a little bit of congestion there. As the county would continue to grow, there would be, for lack of a better word, some bumper-to-bumper traffic. But and the queuing would be a little more from the standpoint of storage, but we're still investigating that, because there are other conditions or considerations such as cost, constructability, but we feel that that's still worth looking at. As of today, not ready to provide a firm opinion on which concept to move forward with. That's probably a discussion I'll have with Tim in the next couple of weeks. Geotechnical, the other item as far as progress to date I wanted to mention, we have a draft report completed from Deweese Road going west beyond McMillan, about halfway through Devlin Springs, the 2 entrances. The material is consistently unsuitable, primarily in the form of expansive clay, which is part of the reason why you can't drink a cup of coffee driving west from Lake Caroline. It's just rolls everywhere. And that material is not suitable to build your new road upon. And there's a couple other spots where the material may not be clay, but is soft and weak. So there will be undercut and backfill needed for a good portion of this project that will add some costs, which is part of the reason that the 3-lane concept was introduced as well. All this kind of ties together. On the right-of-way end, those numbers that you see, the parcels are for a 3-lane, 5-lane hybrid section, curb and gutter throughout. We feel that curb and gutter would be worth it to minimize your impacts to utilities and right-of-way. Moving ahead quickly to the next 3 months, the environmental report is completed. We're waiting on design information, which is pretty much on go depending on the concept we decide upon, and it will go to the Corps within the next few weeks. Utilities, we've scheduled meetings in early May with all of the affected companies. We'll have a better idea regarding schedules for relocation, which in my opinion is going to be the critical path on my project, is relocating the utilities, particularly overhead power. On the roadway end, between now and when I stand before you in July, we will be well into preliminary design, getting into the details of drainage, maintenance of traffic, construction sequencing, as well as the intersection improvements I previously mentioned. And as of today, since we know a lot of the parcels, we know many parcels that we're for sure going to affect, there's no reason why we can't go ahead and begin title work. That process takes a few weeks. All the research that goes on the front end of right-of-way acquisition, we'd like to get that started as well. And the schedule before you see that I pushed ahead some of the phases, preliminary plans, and right-of-way, because I was able to start those a little earlier than I initially thought. Because relocation is such a critical part, I'm still leaving it from now to the bid process where it is. Hopefully we'll know more 1 quarter from now. So that concludes my update, and I'll just see if you have any questions. That's all I have.
The intersection of 463 and Stripper, have we been in communication with MDOT as to when they're going to make a change right there, and how we're going to tie into their change?
Yes, sir. Well, on our design, we received, actually I work with a person who's over PMC for District 5, so he's kept me informed as the progress. The summer, as far as bidding, is the last update that I received from him, but we requested from MDOT the actual CAD files and the DGNs of their plans. So we basically just dropped them onto our drawing, and so that we'll tie in. We do not propose to impact anything with the green T, which basically for westbound traffic is just a left and a right. There'll be a channelized right to Mansdale School, and everyone going to work to Madison has their own left turn lane with one receiving lane. Now, if we switch to the 5-lane concept, there will be an added lane in front of Hartfield that will be added to the right turn lane that they already have set up. So very little impacts to that we propose.
And what about the Hartfield, and how they coming in and out of their subdivision? Is that something that's gonna be affected, they come close to that intersection?
Yeah, it is. That situation, the green T, what I call the green T MDOT's project, it's really not gonna be any better or any worse. I mean, basically, Hartfield, for that 1 hour of the morning, they basically depend on people to let them in. Now, if the 5-lane concept is what we decide upon, then they will have an extra lane of traffic from northbound 463, that people that want to turn right onto Stribling. So from that standpoint, it could make it a little more hairy, but those movements are not as frequent. That's not one of the primary movements. But that's complicated, just the proximity of that intersection, and it really won't be affected either way, really positively or negatively.
Shannon, good update, by the way. Say you are in the process of meeting with the utility companies at this point.
About a week into May, I've set up about 4 or 5.
Good, because that's, as we all know, that's very important.
Absolutely.
They can slow down a project or stop a project.
I want to get them engaged as soon as possible, but obviously my project's not the only one, so they have to work all this out somehow.
You're right. Appreciate you getting them involved early.
Sure.
As well. Other questions? Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right, to answer the Hartfield question, we are looking at doing something with Hartfield. We're going to engage the neighborhood. We have not yet, but we will engage the neighborhood to talk about alternative entrances to that neighborhood to possibly move it back away from 463 a little bit, but we're in the early stages of that. So that is something that we're going to look at as part of this project. Next project is Stribling Road from DeWeese to Catlett. This is Michael Baker. I believe Jay's here to give that update.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Just to kind of tag along with a lot that Shannon said, we have completed our survey and also the property survey, so they should be complete with that. We are submitting our conceptual plans to Tim Friday, so once he has a short review period of time, and we get back, we'll be able to proceed into final design, which is mainly going to be the drainage. And at that point in time, once we know the impact with the drainage, we will be able to give a accurate assessment on how many utilities we're affecting along with the right-of-way parcels, in which we have started the reaching out process with the utilities. So they know we're coming and they know to expect more information from us once we get our preliminary layout to them. And just to kind of what we expect to do in the second quarter, like I said, we are submitting our conceptual plans Friday, and then we'll start with the drainage, and then pretty much just tagging along right behind what Shannon's doing. So if y'all have any questions.
Jay, have y'all been able to look at the road itself and see a lot of yazoo clay in it anywhere?
I'm sure we're gonna have the same findings. In fact, I have got a call with Burns Cooley probably this afternoon to get their schedule of when they're gonna go out. And a lot of it's gonna depend once Tim has our relocation, where we're really cutting the corner with Stribling to tie into Catlett. if he's okay with what we have, and then they'll go out and they'll be able to finish all of theirs.
Okay, so we heard Shannon earlier possibly looking from a 5-lane to 3-lane in a certain area of their project. Within your project, we're still looking at a 5-lane.
We're still looking at a 5-lane. Of course, on the end at Catlett, we'll be tying back into the 3-lane that's currently under construction. So we'll have a transition from 3 to 5 lanes between Catlett Road and where the new Catlett Road tie-in will be.
Right.
So, but we will have 5 lanes between Deweese and Catlett, the relocated Catlett Road.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Thank you, Jay.
All right, I appreciate y'all's time.
Now remember that 3-lane that we're building first is gonna be 2 southbound lanes and 1 northbound lane. So the morning peak coming out, we'll have 2 southbound lanes to get out in the morning, so.
That's good, they need it.
All right. All right, next update will be the Weisenberger project. That will be Neil Schaefer giving that, and I believe that's Keith.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, Board. I'm Keith O'Keefe with Neil Schaefer.
Good morning, Keith.
So Weisenberger Road, we completed the field survey. Hydraulic survey is ongoing for the hydraulic analysis on the bridge. The environmental assessment is ongoing with the wetlands delineation and phase 1 work proceeding with the scheduled completion of June of 2026 for the environmental assessment. Currently working on the conceptual design and coordinating with Canadian National Railroad, and we'll have a meeting with MDOT and the railroad in the month of May. Schedule, as I mentioned, the environmental assessment is underway and on schedule with a completion of June of 2026. The design is scheduled for completion of September 2027. That's on schedule. There are 12 parcels that are going to be impacted for right-of-way, and our schedule has that to be completed in January of 2028. Of course, there are a lot of utility relocations. We talked about that at the last meeting, and right now we're scheduled to bid, advertise, and award the project in March of 2029. Sounds like a long time. Kind of sort of is. But there's a lot of utility impacts here. We've got to deal with FEMA, we've got to deal with the railroad, so anyway, we are well along on this whole process. Items to be completed over the next 3 months. We'll complete the hydraulic survey for the floodplain and the bridge analysis. We'll continue the environmental assessment, of course, with the environmental data collection and an alternative alignment analysis. We'll have to look at more than just, one alignment. It's just part of the process, part of the NEPA process. And we'll continue the hydrologic and hydraulic study of Bear Creek to determine the bridge length and the height and the alignment required. We'll complete the conceptual design in terms of alignment and grade and continue the Canadian National coordination. So a lot of balls in the air, a lot of things that we're swinging at.
Okay. Keith, it's good to hear that y'all have a meeting with the railroad next month.
Right.
That's good, very good. And also, I know Tim and I talked about it last week before last, about the intersection of Highway 51, Weisenberg and Yandale. I know that'll be coming down the line sometime within the year as far as working with MDOT.
That's right.
Align that intersection as well with some funds.
And pursuing some SS4A funds
Yes.
for that. That's right.
Yes.
Safety funds. That's right.
Definitely don't want to forget that, because that's very vital to this project as well.
That's right. No question about it.
Okay. Questions for Keith? Keith, thank you for the update. Do you have any update on Bozeman?
I do. Well underway on Bozeman Road, as you all have seen. And really, there's a minimal amount of impacts to traffic, considering the conditions before the project started. Hemphill's doing a really good job. Clearing and grubbing is substantially complete. Earthwork has begun at the Gluckstadt Road intersection in the southwest quadrant and north of the reserve on the east side of the roadway. Hemphill's laying pipe from Reunion Phase 2 south to the reserve on the east side. And a 3-month look ahead, they'll start the retaining wall at Cedarmont subdivision, continue the earthwork and pipe laying from Reunion South to the reserve, and then begin the earthwork on the west side from Mansdale to Elizabeth, and then continue the work at the Gluckstadt Road intersection. So a lot of dirt work, a lot of pipe laying over the next 3 months.
Again, remind us the completion date at the intersection of Gluckstadt and Catholic.
That's going to be this fall.
So it'll be this year? So,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Great. And also, Tim, I believe here maybe a month ago, we had a individual up talking about an entrance or something there on Bozeman. I guess all of that was worked through. Or have we finalized any of that?
We have worked with the, do you want to speak on the Cedarmont entrance?
Morning, Board. Stan Wright with Neil Schaefer. Yeah, we have met with Cedarmont several times, actually, as late as Friday afternoon. So we have we've laid out, and shown them what the entrance is going to be. The representative of the homeowners association that I've been dealing with, I don't know if they have an official president of the board or anything like that, but I've been meeting with her regularly, and so far I think everything's been settled.
It's staying the way that it was designed to start with then?
Yes, sir, correct.
Yeah, okay, because I know y'all work with them very close through
Yeah.
this project.
Yes, sir, and they've been very patient. They're good people, and
Right.
so.
Okay, and Bozeman 2, phase 2?
Our plans are finished for that. Now, we're making offers to the property owners. And that project will be ready to go to construction as soon as phase 1 is finished.
Okay.
So we make, we finish the right-of-way acquisition and then start the utility relocation there, some of which has already been done.
Right.
So, we'll be ready to go. And phase 1 is scheduled for completion in April of 27, so 2 years from now.
Okay, good deal. Questions for Keith? Thank you, Keith, for the
Thank you.
update.
That project, if you remember, is one of two that we got through the MPO, so that 2029 deadline is an MPO deadline as well. So they're set with that time frame. It's nothing they can move up or back. That is a federal dollar date. So with that being said, our next two updates are moving us over to Yandell Road. First is from Yandell from 51 to Smith Car, and the next one is Smith Car to North Oak Canton. Both of those projects are being designed by Wagner Engineering. This update's going to be given by Darian and Paul.
Right.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Darian Warren with Wagner Engineering, and I also have with me Paul Foley with Wagner Engineering, and so we're here to give you another update on Yandell Road improvements. As Tim mentioned, it's two projects from Highway 51 to Smith Car and Smith Car to North Oak Canton Road, and this project is a 5-lane widening project for Yandell Road. And although this is two separate projects, we're approaching the design as it being one project, so we're doing the design simultaneously for both segments. And so just kind of a quick update in terms of where we are in terms of completion. Our contract was executed in November of 2024. As it relates to percent complete, we've billed about 30% of the budget, total budget for both projects. Looking at the progress being made for both projects, we're about 36% complete as it relates to progress. So we're still in alignment with our initial project schedule. So progress is continuously being made. If you look at slide 3, we included an exhibit that just gives you an aerial of the project limits, the project corridor from Highway 51 to Smith Car. And you'll see that we notated some of the drainage, all of the drainage structures within the project corridor that would be addressed as a part of the scope of work with this project. Some box culverts, and then there are also 2 bridges that will be widened as a part of this project as well. We've also included some geometric layouts that show the existing conditions of the roadway, which is currently a 2-lane roadway. And then on slide 5, we show kind of a proposed layout of what the 5-lane will look like in terms of 2 lanes in both directions and a continuous turn lane. So just going to the schedule, the milestone schedule, you'll see in Q2, a lot of our focus has been on and currently on the conceptual design and survey, which also includes field survey and utility survey in coordination with the utilities, and also the environmental documentation process as well. So some of our critical path milestones on page 7 we've outlined in the PowerPoint as it relates to right-of-way analysis, which was completed in December 2024. Topographic survey was completed in February. Currently, utility coordination is complete in March, but still ongoing. Conceptual roadway design, we are showing projected completion of conceptual design in June. And as I stated, the environmental documentation process is currently ongoing. And so I want to talk a little bit about the utility coordination as well as what we saw during our right-of-way analysis. And so Paul is going to talk a little bit about where we are with that process.
Okay. Thank you, Darren.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So moving forward with the utility provider coordination slide, you can see that we have 12 utility providers that have been identified. Several of them have multiple assets, so we're looking at 16 total assets. We have received, so there's a status column that kind of indicates where we are with this coordination effort. We received as-built information from a majority of the providers in the area, as well as field markings, and we have been out in the field and we've collected and processed this information. And moving forward, so all of the topographic survey has been conducted, and that was completed February of 2025. Currently, we have the utility survey that's in process with Bear Creek Water Association. We're just pending some as-built information from that particular provider. Moving forward, we have some exhibit slides that just show the right-of-way analysis, right-of-way determination, and we broke it out into segments. So the first project we're looking at from Highway 51 to Clarkdale Road. We've identified 17 plus or minus parcels, 1 subdivision that may be affected in this area. Other identifiable features such as Bear Creek Water Pump Station. If you move forward to the second slide, from Clarkdale to Smith Car, which is the end of our first project from 51 to Smith Car Road, you're looking at a potential for 18 plus or minus parcels that would be affected with the 100-foot proposed right-of-way. Moving forward from Smith Car to Johnson Lane, we have approximately 21 parcels that may be affected, which includes 3 subdivisions within this area. And then the last slide, from Johnson Lane to North Old Canton Road, we've identified an additional 16 plus or minus parcels that may be affected with 2 subdivisions. So as a total, we're looking at 68 plus or minus parcels that may be affected. And that's part of our parcel impact study that we conducted. So we're looking forward to continue with this effort for utility relocation, et cetera, and moving forward to parcel acquisition. So that being said, we'll need to get maps and deeds started and move forward with that process. We talked about utility survey already, topographic survey, the utility provider coordination, and the efforts that have gone into play with that. And that's going to be ongoing. We have that all the way through the plan in hand review, which is basically the final design preliminary as it transitions from preliminary engineering to final engineering design. So we want to have these utility providers part of this communication, open dialogue throughout our design process. As far as the roadway design plans, similar to what Stantec was mentioning, we plan to have the conceptual plans ready for a sit-down with Tim. According to our schedule, that is the end of Q2 of 2025, but we've accelerated our schedule and we feel that we're ready to have that meeting with Tim sooner rather than later. So I'll set up a meeting with Tim sometime in May. And we'll go through those plans, and that basically includes title sheet, index sheet, journal note sheets, mainline typical sections, miscellaneous sheets and details, plan and profile sheets, existing and proposed cross-section sheets, and we've also concluded our drainage analysis. So we've identified 8 potential logical outfall points for the proposed closed drainage system. We've developed drainage area maps. We've performed our drainage analysis / computer modeling. We've identified and located curb inlets, and all pipes have been sized to date. And moving forward to the next slide, just to recap, we have the utility coordination tentatively to be complete Q1 of 2026, so that's already been conducted. Utility relocation and adjustments, that's going to be an ongoing process. Conceptual roadway design, we plan to have that wrapped up end of Q2. But as I said, we're going to expedite that, and that should be within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We've also commenced with our environmental documentation review and geotechnical engineering.
Okay. I would like, is Keith, I see Stan back there. Keith, Stan, let's, along with Paul and Darren, kind of give us a quick update on the third lane that's we're working on now. Do you have any update on that? Because that should be finished well before this other starts, I suppose.
Yes, sir. We are in the right-of-way phase, and I believe offers have been made.
Right.
So that should be complete fairly soon. And that'll follow up with the utility relocation. This is just basically from the school up to, I guess a simple way to put it is the Dollar General store. You know, and so hopefully we'll be able to have our, authorization request to advertise, sometime later this year, and hopefully go to construction spring of next year. That's kind of the schedule.
And that's about a 12-month construction.
Maybe not that long. It may be less. It's about a $2.5 million project, so it could be 9 months is kind of what we're thinking. So.
And that includes a signal light at Clarkdale.
Yes, sir.
And Yandale as
Yes,
well.
Sir. That's right. And we'll make sure we're coordinating with Wagner.
Yeah, it's for the city.
Yeah, we're and whatever we have no issues at all working with each other, so we shouldn't have any problem there.
You getting enough right away for that 5 lane on this right?
Well, we're only buying right away on one side of the road, but we feel like we got enough to accommodate. When that side of the road, the north side of the road. Okay. So yes, sir.
And I think that Darren and Wagner and them is concentrating on that part from Highway 51 back.
Yes, sir.
East, first as you indicated.
Yes, sir.
But I did hear there were 68 partials. Is that for
Yes.
Is that for both projects?
That's correct.
And how many partials was for the first project? Do you recall? I know that 68 included both, but.
So we're talking about the first project from 51 to Clarkdale, which includes Neil Schaefer's segment.
Yes.
The 3 lane. So specifically, we're looking at 17, and that does not account for what their acquisition process is determined. So in here, we have a legend. We say proposed right-of-way by others, and that indicates the blue line that Neil Schaefer is projecting to acquire. You can see we are also acquiring some additional tape on the south side as well, so that we're at that full typical width of 100 feet. I think currently with just that north side, in their project, the 3 lane project, it's approximately 90 feet. So So we want to get it to that full width, 100 feet, to encompass the back of curb and off-site drainage as well.
Okay. Questions? And what kind of time frame were you looking at from the first project again? From 51 to Clarkdale, or your project 1? What kind of time frame are you looking at to finish your design, or?
Conceptual design plans will be ready in the next 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're pretty aggressive with that schedule. I think you'll be pleased with the results.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, good update.
Appreciate it.
The next project is our second MPO project, which is the intersection of North Old Canton and Yandell. This project was done, or is being done by Benchmark Engineering, and Matthew's gonna give that update for us.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
As Tim mentioned, we do have one of the two MPO LPA projects that y'all were recently awarded, the intersection of Yandell Road and Old Canton Road. I think you're gonna hear me reiterate a lot of what everyone else has said so far this morning. We've completed our all of our field survey work, topographic survey, boundary survey, hydrologic survey, and utility survey. So our project's kind of set up into 2 phases, 2 separate projects, if you will, where we've got 2 bridges located within our project that we're working on as well. And we're working on those outside of the MPO process. So that's kind of the critical path for us on this particular project for this intersection, is getting those bridges taken care of first. We're also sandwiched kind of in between 2 other projects, one to the west and one to the east. So we've got an engineering firm on each side, been really good to work with. We've done a lot of coordination with both of those firms over the last quarter. Got our horizontal and vertical alignments settled on. You know, some give and takes, been really good. Both commend both those companies working with us there, as we were kind of stuck in the middle there. So we're moving forward with the plans on the not only on the intersection but the bridge as well. Environmental process is getting started. That's a key component for the bridge to be able to get that out to bid. We're working with the environmental group now, getting going on that. Utility companies, just like everyone had said, we talked to them. They're well aware of all the projects in the area and what's going on. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle it when the day comes and they have to get going on it. We did get our hydraulics completed on the bridges last week. I believe y'all's report may have said 90% complete, but we've got that completed. So we're working through the conceptual design phase of those 2 bridges, and also got the geotechnical reports back for the bridges this past quarter. So both of those very important in getting the bridges moving forward. This next quarter, our plan is to finish the conceptual design for the bridges probably in the month of May. And as soon as that's done, we can really establish what our right-of-way is, and we're gonna get moving forward on right-of-way acquisition for those bridges for that portion. Overall, we've got 7 parcels here at the intersection, and we'll definitely be getting started on the bridge parcels first and foremost, and then anything that's left after that will go along with the intersection design acquisition phase. So our schedule overall still has not changed. We're looking at the end of this year for the bridge construction phase to get started, to advertise that and get that started first of 2026, and then the intersection phase will come next fall. So get those bridges out of the way first.
Okay. Questions from the board?
On the bridge, you just gonna be widening those bridges, right?
We'll be widening the one to the west, and we're replacing the one to the south.
Replace the one to the south.
On the south side of the intersection,
Okay.
there's a bridge on the west side on Yandell, and there's a bridge on the south side on Old Canton.
All right. Have there been some thought on what you gonna do with that traffic once you get to start replacing it?
There has, there's some options there, and we've talked to Tim about it briefly. Gonna have further conversations on, there's some options there to route them around right there. There's a road around the southwest quadrant of that. There's also some phased approaches that we can look at as far as the bridge construction, and we're working through that as we speak, actually. So that'll be something that we'll get more technically involved in the month of May.
All right.
You know, you mentioned, you got a small project, but hey, it's a very important project.
Yes.
There's no doubt, it's a big connector between the west and the east.
You're right,
Yes, sir.
connecting, but the communications will be very important
A
there.
lot of cars go through there.
Yes. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you start pulling bridges out, people start noticing.
Yeah.
So,
They do.
our final two projects are the western, or I guess the eastern ends of, Yandell Road. That's from North Old Canton to Bainbridge, and Bainbridge crossing to 43. Both of those projects are being done by Pickering. I believe Rick is here to give the update on those two.
All right.
Good morning, Board.
Good morning.
As Tim said, my name's Rick Ferguson. I'm the project manager with Pickering Farm on the two Yandell projects that are east of Old Canton, North Old Canton. Brought with me Matt Warkentine. He's the design project manager. I'm just going to go through the bullet points on our updates. We're kind of working these two projects together as one big project, so you can see there's a lot of duplication. Like everybody else has said, we've completed our topographic survey and our utility survey. We're in the process of doing our property survey. We haven't found a whole lot of iron pins out there, so we're having to do a little bit more due diligence than what we expected, but we're working through that. Moving forward to the environmental, same thing. We're approaching this as one big project. You can see all the resource agencies have been reached out to and contacted. We've reached out to the Fish and Wildlife Service. I mean, there's a bat survey. There's an endangered species bat that likes to get up in pipes and culverts and stuff like that. So we've reached out to them. And we also have completed our cultural resource survey, and those reports have been submitted to Archives and History, and the result was there was no impacts. So we're just waiting on Archives. We're just waiting on Archives and History to concur in that. Moving forward on both projects, like I said, they're both kind of working them together. You'll see in the late second quarter, third quarter, they'll start separating from each other just due to the size of the two projects. But we're going to work on and complete the wetland delineation, noise study, hopefully finish all of our property survey on both projects, and then get BCD out there. And I've talked to Randy, and he wants to just work, since he's got to do some traffic control, he just wants to work it all at one time instead of mobbing, demobbing, and coming back and forth. Milestones, the West project, we've got a field review due. It'll be the very early part of the third quarter, but I feel like where we are on that project, we can bump that up. On the east segment, the field review plans on it is not due until much later this year, but given where we are, I feel confident that we can bump that schedule up also. I'm going to just briefly touch on our conceptual approach. You've got some conceptual plans in front of you, and if you got any questions, Matt will be glad to answer any questions. But our approach, and as Matthew said, we tied to their side of the intersection, and we've coordinated with them. But where we're leaving their project, we're going to be on the south side of the road. We're widening to a 5-lane section, and it'll stay 5-lane past the western Deerfield exit or entrance. Then we enter into a stretch of road where we've got Deerfield on one side and the proposed Woodgate on the other side. So like I said in the previous meeting, we've got fences on both sides of the road, so there's really no need for a center turn lane through that section. So it'll just be a 4-lane undivided, but once we get to the eastern Deerfield and Woodgate entrance, it'll transition back out. So you'll have a center turn lane so the residents can turn in and out of this subdivision. And then we will maintain 5 lanes all the way to Bainbridge. We have it worked out if, depending on the phasing and the timing of the projects, if west segment is built first, we can transition back down to get those we've got those details worked out. But on the east segment, kind of the same scenario. We're proposing that you build, we're looking at it as a 5-lane, buy right away for 5-lane, but build 4-lane undivided, And as the subdivisions come along and are platted and developed, you have enough room for the entrances to be constructed at the time that the subdivisions come in. And that could be something that, once you get the subdivisions approved, put that on the responsibility of the developers. You'll have the right of way, they'll just have to build their entrances. So that's all I've got.
Okay, questions? All right. Thank you.
Sound great.
All right, thank you, very much so.
Keep moving. Appreciate you guys.
Tim, I know that, all the firms gave dates, and some of them out to 26, some of them this year, 26, 27, 28. I'm gonna tell you, that time will slip up on us real quick. So we appreciate your efforts working with them and, hopefully keeping them ahead of schedule. But
They're all moving
sounds
forward.
good
They're all-
today. Good
It did sound good
updates.
today, didn't it? We're moving forward.
Good updates.
Hope to be bringing you supplemental agreements from each of these firms in the very near future. I think I've mentioned it before, but we did not include the right-of-way acquisition in the initial contracts because we weren't sure at that time how many parcels we were gonna be needing, and it didn't make sense to do that. So now that we've gotten into a place in the project where we are more comfortable with the number of parcels that we're needing, that should be coming back before you pretty soon from all of these firms.
Great.
So, also, our next quarterly update will, I believe, be July the 21st. So that firms will be coming back for you July 21st.
July 21st.
I believe so. All right.
Thank
And moving on to our next agenda item, it's the preliminary plat for Robinwood subdivision. This is a 3-lot subdivision on 23.4 acres with no public infrastructure.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move.
Got a motion, Supervisor Banks, do I have a second?
That's your turn.
Where is
Where
this?
is it?
Robin Wood, is that,
Oh, let me see. This is off of Robinson Road in District,
Robinson Road, that's mine.
yeah, it's in District 5.
All right, what lot you say you do got this? I don't see it yet.
It's a 3-lot subdivision.
3 lots, yeah.
It's just,
Okay, now I got it.
got it?
Yeah. Looking good. Motion, second call motion.
I got a second, Supervisor Griffin, discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, item 60.
All right, I think I've got an older plat, but I have it as item 61. It may be item 62. I'd rather do the final plat of Robinwood next. So, final
Okay.
plat of Robinwood, it's the same plat. Since there's no public infrastructure, I ask that the board approve the final plat of that neighborhood as well.
All right, got a motion?
Yeah.
Motion Supervisor Griffin, second Supervisor Banks.
That's correct.
Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed.
All right, and then going back to agenda item for the preliminary plat of White Oak Farms Phase 1. This is a 12-lot subdivision on 72.46 acres. This one also has no public infrastructure associated with it.
And that is where?
This one is off of Dampier Road, also in District 5.
Yeah, motion.
Motion Supervisor Griffin, I'll second, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed.
All right, final item I have is the final plat of White Oak Farms Phase 1.
Motion.
Motion Supervisor Griffin, do I have a second?
Second.
Second Supervisor Banks, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I like that.
All opposed.
All right, and you are done with me for today.
All right,
Unless
thank
you have
you,
any
Tim.
questions.
Board Attorney, Mike Espy.
Nothing.
Greg?
Yes, sir, I've got a few for you. All right, I'd like to start with 66, just because that seems to be the simplest. And that is a request this board approve payment for professional services pending receipt of a W-9. We received the invoice, still trying to run down a W-9, but payment is in order once we have received said W-9.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Supervisor Brandon, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed.
All right, item 64 is a request this board approve advertising for the CDBG project with the West Madison Utility District. That is the rehab of some sewer pipes in the Kearney Park area.
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks. Do I have a second? I'll second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
All right, and item 65 is one that's going to involve the gentleman behind me, Mr. Paul Bagley from JH&H. He is going to walk y'all through the circuit courthouse renovation that we've been asked to work on, and it goes back a few years, if not a little bit longer. But we have reached a point now where we believe it is appropriate to advertise for bids for construction. So before we do that, figured we might want to let y'all see kind of what it looks like and what all this entails. Dwayne's firing up the computer, I'm gonna hit the lights, and Mr. Bagley will be able to walk y'all through everything else.
Paul, appreciate, first of all, you open us up in a word of prayer. Appreciate that.
Got the popcorn?
Not yet.
And Paul, this is talking about a courthouse circuit clerk as well.
Yes, sir. This is a,
If you would, just stand at the mic, please.
this is the existing circuit court building that's located to the north of us on this site. It is a complete renovation of the existing building, which would encompass new power requirements, new HVAC systems, new elevators, and then there's also an addition that we have for the circuit court as well as some judicial spaces. I will walk over here and give you the presentation visually of what we have. This is, of course, the existing building as it sits. Again, this building will have a complete renovation of the interior as well as some exterior features, as well as a new re-roofing of the existing systems. As you can see, the building outlined in white is the existing building. The shaded areas that you see in the yellow-orange is the additions. Also to the right of that is a secure parking area for employees and jury members. First floor, white spaces are the renovated spaces. We're reworking court 1 and 2, as well as providing new restroom facilities with ADA capabilities. The areas, again, you see in yellow-orange are the addition areas that we're improving, the areas back in the inmate holding areas, the sally port areas. And then as you go to the right, upper, you see court 3 that has been included and enlarged. We provided new jury spaces for those jurors there, and then on the lower right, you see the additions for the circuit clerk. Upstairs, basically, is where the judges' offices are located, as well as the grand jury room has been provided in that space. That is a visual of the exterior that we're looking at. The main addition that you saw for the circuit court is on the right side. That area you see on the far right is the circuit clerk, and also the areas for entryway for employees and secure parking. This is the center courtroom. We call courtroom number 1. That is the one that has the very tall ceilings in there. We're bringing those ceilings down, as well as providing new spaces for the judges' benches, including jury boxes, as well as new furnishings in that particular room. In fact, all of the courtrooms, we're providing new furniture. This is the enlarged courtroom 3. Again, this one is going to have all new components as part of it, with all new furniture and judges' benches. Entryways, we're providing a secure entranceway for our deputies to be there, as well as wayfinding monitors that will allow people to know where they're going and what events may be taking place during those days. Another visual looking back toward the front entrance. Bringing y'all up to date on what we have for budget-wise. For new construction and renovation of the existing with included site work and the new parking area, we're looking at $15,300,000. Allowances that we provided within that construction budget for bid day would be courtroom, audio video, courtroom fixtures, furnishings, and equipment, security access control, and landscaping for a total bid price of $16,490,000. Now, we anticipate this during bid day when there's competition involved, that we expect this to be somewhere between 15.5 and 16. The building soft costs, which include architects and engineering fees, construction testing, surveys, and so forth, at 1.4 for a total project cost with some additional furnishings for the circuit clerk area of $19,204,000. We anticipate this project going out for bid, probably a bid date in about 60 days. And construction, we're looking at somewhere between 13 and 14 months.
Okay.
Take 13, 14 months to build it.
Yes, sir.
Complete, say.
And a lot of that is, we're gonna, I guess, continue to try to have, services in there as well,
No,
or
sir.
not?
No, sir, that building will be entirely empty,
Okay,
is our current plan, unless this board feels differently, but that's going to increase both time and cost on this project if we try to do it under traffic.
right. Okay, and where we're gonna have the judges and the circuit clerk located?
I've got some ideas there that I need to confirm with this board
Okay.
before I disclose them publicly. But
Right.
I've got a few ideas as to where they can go, and it's something I think we can do in the next 120 days.
And as always, you know, we definitely work with the judges and the circuit clerk as well.
Yes, sir,
You
they
know, on those
vetoed a couple
locations.
of ideas.
Right, okay,
So
good
I know
deal.
what doesn't work.
Right.
I'm working towards an idea that I think will work.
Yeah, and Paul, we've been working on this now for about 7, 8 years.
At least, yes, sir.
And, you know, if this board would have done this back in 16, 17, you know, the cost wouldn't nearly be as much as it is now.
Yes, sir.
But we are moving this thing forward, and, so, it's a long time coming, but it's here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Other questions from the board? All right, thank you, Paul.
Well, at this point, board, I believe the next thing to do would be to entertain a motion to advertise for construction, should this board wish to. If not, I'll sit down and we will call it a day till executive session.
I'll make that motion to advertise.
I second that motion to
Second,
advertise.
Supervisor Griffin, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Perfect.
Thank you,
all
Greg.
very much, and there will be a brief executive session for right-of-way acquisition.
Okay. Next, I think, Nassan, Comptroller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The first item I have is number 67, which is the approval of the budget amendments and the end-of-fund cash transfer.
I'll make a motion for approval. Do I have a
Second.
second? Second, Supervisor Griffin, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
The next two items, 68 and 69, is the general claims docket and one payroll docket.
Move.
Motion Supervisor Banks, I'll second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Banks, you take the other item.
Okay. Item 70.
Yes, sir. Item 70 is the fleet corps claim docket.
Okay. Make a motion to pay for the diesel. I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you. Ronnie
Lot.
Lott.
Yes, Mr. Vice President. Mr. President, I'm ready now to address the audit findings if you'd like to.
All right, you go for it. Yes, sir.
Sir?
If you want.
If
Okay.
you like.
Sure.
I started to give you that opportunity earlier, but I said, no, I'm not gonna put you on the spot like that.
No, I wouldn't.
There was actually an oversight on my part when I asked you to make the previous motion for depositories. We did not, same thing. We did not include all of the banks. And we corrected that
Right.
this term. We have multiple accounts, some are decades old. I felt it was not feasible to spend taxpayer funds to move these, to buy more checks, et cetera, because the accounts have been there for extended period of time through multiple chancery clerks. They're all below the $250,000 cap, so they're all protected. I made sure the banks matched the interest rate that was offered by the main institutions, so we did not lose any money. I can list the accounts, or just, does that satisfy everyone?
No, that's fine, as long as you've taken care of it.
Yeah, it's taken care of, and it was just, with this last term, all qualified institutions were made depositories.
Right.
So,
Okay. That's
and
good.
that was an oversight on my part the first time. We should have done that the
As long as
first
it doesn't
time.
show up next year on the audit, we good to go.
Yes, sir.
All right.
And there was a $455,392.27 overage, which is much better than a shortage. And basically, this was because of the PID reconciliation. And it's a very timely, complex process. We have to get involved with the banks, the PID, and the individual landowners. And it just took more time than the auditors would prefer to have settled this, but it has since been settled. But it's pretty much a yearly thing that is taking us, by the time we get everybody on board, where we can make those settlements. We still use the same process that the previous administrator installed. It's an excellent process. It's a timely process.
Right.
It's very complex. And so that's why we had an overage in the account. But additional controls have been in place to correct this in the future.
Okay. Which PID are we talking about?
Parkway East.
Yeah, south, on the south end.
Southeast, and,
Yeah.
both PIDs.
That PID will be over with in a couple of years.
Yes, sir,
anyway.
it should be, and it's very, as you know, it's very complex. I mean, we've got the PID board here, we've got the bank here, Trustmark Bank, we've got
Right.
individual landowners, and we have to get all of them consolidate their books before we can consolidate our books.
Okay, good deal.
So, yes, sir. Any questions?
No, sir, I think you got it cleared up for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff?
Morning.
Good morning.
I have a couple of items. I've got the inmate meal law for March of 2025 for your minutes. I will pass to your clerk. If we could get a motion to acknowledge those.
Do I have a motion? Move. Motion Supervisor Banks, I'll second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
I have 5 sets of bills for MDOC for October, November, December, January, and February, to make a plea to them to please pay. I'll give you the totals if you like. October of 2024, $5,594.42. November 2024, $5,206.44. December 2024, $1,755.80. January 2025, $654.92. And February of 2025, $1,354.94. And that billing is behind. My understanding is MDOC's had some turnover with their administration and billing department up there, so I think they're gonna get it straight, but if we could just get a motion to acknowledge those.
Got a motion? Move. Motion Supervisor Banks, I'll second it. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
And I am prepared to update you on the investigation.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. All right, who's next? Old business?
Yeah, I got one. Apparently I had stepped out when, Tim, brought up modifying the 2025 road plan. I wanna make a motion to put, Bainbridge Boulevard on the unfunded road plan.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second
Second
that.
Supervisor Banks, discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
All right.
All right, any, new business?
No, sir, but there is a brief executive session.
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion to go into closed termination?
Move.
Got a motion Supervisor Banks, I'll second it. Discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, do I have a motion to go into executive session?
You got that motion?
Got a motion, Supervisor Griffith, I'll second it, and we're going into executive session for.
Acquisition of real property.
You got it running?
Right away acquisition.
Yeah, right away acquisition.
Okay.
Right away. Right away.
And also the sheriff's update as well?
Yes, and
Okay.
potential litigation.
Litigation. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. We are now in executive session.
Thanks, Paul.
Everybody hold tight. Our next meeting is May the 5th. Okay, we're out of executive session. Mr. Lott?
The Madison County Board of Supervisors took 2 actions during executive session. They acknowledged receipt and approved payment of 3 properties on the Bozeman Road project, as well as approved a counteroffer for consideration of a parcel on Bozeman Road.
All right, thank you, sir. Greg?
Yes, sir. There is one additional item that I failed to mention earlier, and for that I apologize. But I am asking this board to approve a payment of the shortfall note related to the Parkway PID in an amount up to, we'll call it $725. I don't have the bill yet from Trustmark on this, but I need authority to transfer the funds so that we don't run into a shortfall against the note. That payment is due May 1. It's, I think, $680, but I'd like authority up to $725 just to cover my bases.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? Second, Supervisor Banks. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn to May the 5th at 9 o'clock?
I'll make that motion.
Motion Supervisor Banks, second Supervisor Brandon. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay.